at Bergdorf Goodman. It's very interesting. I don't think they were allowed to use this either. Her favorite show is Law and Order. And there's a almost exact story as her story in Law and Order about being attacked in the dressing room of a department store. I don't know if they used the name of the store. But that's her favorite show, Law and Order. She said that.
My headphones.
And anyway, this evolved into a defamation case against me because I disputed her words because I told the truth. We were called. I was in the White House, and I said, no, it never happened. I didn't even know what they were talking about. I was in the Oval Office. Sir, do you know anything about this? And this had to do with the book, and she had a few pages in a book making this claim. By the way, there was never a claim. There was never a police report. There was never anything mentioned. There was never publicity 30 or 40 years ago, whenever it took place. Nobody knows. She doesn't know when it took place. When did it take place? She has no idea. She thinks it was in the 1990s.
All right, see you. Sorry,
it was in the 1990s.
Wanted to get on here as soon as I saw that this was
we had two trials. We asked for consolidation. He said no. The reason he said no is he'd rather have double the publicity.
But I'm here.
Because that's bad for me. Very bad. Because I'm running for president. And this is not the kind of publicity you like. And whether it's true or not, it's horrible.
We'll see.
And in this case, it's so false. It's a made-up, fabricated story by somebody, I think, initially just looking to
you guys can
promote a book. And when they called me, I denied the story. I got sued essentially for defamation because I'm denying the story. Well, I'm right. I should be suing her for defamation. So that's where it is. Now, there were two witnesses. One is a woman who's followed me for years. She said in 1979, I was in an airplane with her, commercial flight. And she said I was making out with her. We became very intimate. And then after I just sat down, I think she changed I had the book, The Art of the Deal. I was famous then too.
I had it up on my TV,
and we're sitting in first class, according to her. Never happened, by the way. Totally made up story. She's a Clinton person too, by the way, big Clinton person. She made up the story. And I'm looking at the woman and I grab her and I start. So many years ago, and I think it would be 1979. One of my many people behind me could correct it, but I think she said 1979.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well, Fight for Freedom.
And
you guys are able to hear me,
down.
right? Correct.
I believe I had some pretty big success then, and I was being talked about a lot.
I'm also trying to figure out if it's being picked up twice.
Time after that, I'm not sure, but I was well known. And the passengers are coming into the plane, and she said I was making out with her. And then after 15 minutes, and then she changed her story a couple of times, maybe it was quicker, that I grabbed her at a certain part, and that was when she...
Okay. What's going on? Newsmax is having...
All right, it does appear that that feed of Trump just went out. We are going to work to get that back right here. We should have it up in just a few minutes, but we were pulling in from Fox, and it appears that they've done some switching around there. But we'll be right back after this quick 2-minute commercial break.
My bad, Fox, not Newsmax. It's on Newsmax up there. It's still up. Huh. Yeah, like up there on the TV, it's still playing. So we're gonna go ahead and remove that. See if we can find a different feed. Okay, so yeah, that's one network that just decided to cut this feed. I'm not finding. Let's see. Newsmax. No, I got it on Newsmax. Come over here. That's still up.
Real physical street mailing address.
And we're back.
in those days. 1979, I think. It's a long time ago. But you had the armrest, and in the old days, they didn't
Bruce
move.
Davis?
Okay. But she said she then got out and she went to the back of the plane, and that was the end of the story, I think. And this story has followed me for years. But just to finish with her, Jessica Lee, no police reports, no witnesses, no corroboration of any kind, no criminal suggestions,
Did it just cut?
nothing. Then you have another one, and this one is a writer for
This is supposed to be
People
live.
magazine, who I actually thought was very nice.
It just looked like it
She
cut.
came to Mar-a-Lago, and she wrote the most beautiful story you've ever seen. It was a love story about Melania and myself, a love story in People magazine. And that was it. It was a cover, I think, but it was a beautiful story. Everybody would love to have that marriage. She said the nicest things about me, about Melania. You have the story. I mean, you can read the story. And
Yeah, I've been
her
having
name
to get a lot of shit together
was
recently.
whoever. Let's see.
I've been
Her name
trying to find a proper recording
was who?
app so that I
Sworn
can
off, yeah.
get my
I don't have it.
my music
Whatever her name
recorded
was.
properly.
I don't know the lady,
Aside
so
from that,
perhaps it's
everything's set.
much better that way, but I really don't know the lady. So she wrote this beautiful story, and about, I don't know, years later, no police reports, no anything. Years later, the same person they called up, did you attack at Mar-a-Lago this woman, this writer, whatever her name is? And she was a witness in a case.
There's
Her
actually
leads with the two
something I'm going to
witnesses,
be working
only
on
two
today
witnesses.
as well.
Did you
I've
attack
got it
her?
up in my
I said, who is
search
she?
post.
And they said, she writes for People magazine. I said, I don't know anything about the lady. If I had a story long ago, years before, about People, but it was a very nice story. So I don't know. It has to be made up because I don't know what you're talking about. It turned out that the same lady that wrote this beautiful story years later said I attacked her. Now, think of this. Oh, and she said the butler knew everything.
That sounds
The
like
old expression, the butler did it,
freaking
right? Very famous
expensive
in
life,
crime stories.
expensive marriage.
Well, the butler was Tony Senecal.
Just saying.
Worked for me for a long time. He was retired at that time. That was years later. He retired. He was retired when this hoax came out. And what happened is he totally confirmed my story, and he didn't even work for me anymore. He passed away a couple of years ago, a good man. He said the woman was crazy. It never happened. I was the one that served her whatever she was drinking, and I was there, and nothing ever happened. But you don't need the butler. All you have to do is read the story. Think of this. A woman comes into Mar-a-Lago, interviews me about a love story about my wife and myself. And during that interview, I attacked her and pushed her up against the wall violently. Okay? And then she leaves and she writes a perfect story. A perfect story. She doesn't mention the event. Again, there's nothing on file at all. Zero. There was no complaints. There were no complaints to People magazine. There was no witness. There was nothing. Yeah, well, there was a witness, the butler, and he's already said everything. He's already told the story. Because this story, likewise, like Leeds, this story has followed me around. I could go through many other stories outside of this. You know, it's very funny. When you're rich and famous, you get a lot of people come up with a lot of stories. But you're writers, and some of you are legitimate writers, and some of you aren't. Some of you are fake news, and some of you are real news. But put yourself in my position. I'm running for president, and I have all these cases all of a sudden come out. and they have fake cases, and they report back to DOJ. And you have Lisa Monaco, one of the people at DOJ who I saw the other day talking about the Russia hoax. And yet she's friends with Andrew Weissman and that whole group and crew, who should be sued, by the way, because they're not a charity. All they are is a political organization that goes after Trump for the last 8 years. I mean, he's a sick person that runs that, too. But Lisa Monaco is in the Department of Justice, but she's a Andrew Weissman person who's been after me for years. So far, he's failed. And he's having a heart attack because I'm leading in the polls, I guess. If you look at the Nate Silver, very respected guy. I don't know him, but he has me up by a lot. So let's say we're leading, or let's say we're tied, or let's say what difference. I'm in the race. It's between two people, but I think we're leading by a lot because the opponent refuses to do an interview because she can't talk. And they're not going to skate through it. I'm not going to have a Marxist president. The people are getting it. So we go down to court today to talk about this case is a scam. And all I can say is that I never met the woman other than this picture, which could have been AI generated. I don't know. Showed up out of nowhere, but it's fine. Nice
it's
picture
all about leading
with
from the front.
her husband, and lots of other people are online. It's a celebrity line. But never met her, never touched her, never had anything to do with her. The other thing is I was very famous then. If I would have walked into Bergdorf Goodman, the department store that she said, everybody would have said, oh, there's Trump. And it would have been, at that time, on page 6. Page 6 was the equivalent of today's internet. And it would have been a big story if I would have walked into that store, gone into a dressing room, and supposedly, you know what, to her. Never happened. Never happened. Total phony story. And I feel sad that I have to come up here and explain it. I have all this legal talent, but legal talent cannot overcome rigged judges. They can't overcome a 4% Republican area. And I'm disappointed in my legal talent, I'll be honest with you. They're good. They're good people. They're talented people. Today at the trial, they didn't mention the dress. So the Monica Lewinsky type dress was a big part of the trial. Big part of the trial. I said, why didn't you mention that? And I heard there was a dress involved. And I wasn't frightened at all because I did nothing with her. Never touched this woman, saw this woman, had no idea who she was. But they have a dress, sir. I said, so what? Well, sir, it's very sir. They used that dress to try and intimidate me. They used that dress with the public. That dress was such a famous dress. It was Monica Lewinsky, part 2, the dress. And the judge wanted it for trial. And it was going to go into trial. And then they found out there was nothing on the dress, which I knew. And then the judge wouldn't allow it to be used. So they used it as a cudgel. They used it as a hammer over my head. And then the judge, when he heard that it showed totally negative, the judge wouldn't allow us to use it at trial. Then there was an Anderson Cooper interview where she said essentially, no, he didn't rape me. She was selling her book. She wrote a book. The book would have been a total failure, probably was anyway, although probably sold more recently. Again, there's a woman that wasn't doing well until she came out with this stuff about me. And that's happened to others too, by the way. She's not the only one. But they have the Anderson Cooper tape. And in the Anderson Cooper tape, it's an interview of her. And Cooper says something to the effect, did he rape you? Did he rape you? He was so happy. Oh, did he rape you? And she gave a very good answer for me, but a bad answer for CNN, for Anderson. And he said, we're going to commercial break right now. We're going. Then she came back from commercial break, and she was much more hostile. But this man wouldn't let us use the tape or the proper questions having to do with the tape. Wouldn't let us, Judge Kaplan wouldn't let it be used.
Let's get the chat rolling, guys.
We wanted to get the outtakes. In other words, what did Anderson Cooper talk to her about during that intermission for a commercial that he called for immediately? Where do you see this? I mean, some of you have seen it, some of you haven't. We're going to commercial break right now. And so what happened is we weren't able to use it. The other thing is we had not one trial, we had two trials. Nobody understands why. We asked for a consolidation. And I wanted to show up to the trial, to the first trial. My lawyer, who's not up here, not with us any longer, sir, you should not show up. You're the former president or the president. I don't even know when the trial was, but you're the president of the United States, sir. This is beneath you. I've got this 100%. The dress is negative, but he wasn't able to use it. Sir, it's beneath.
Just to get topics going. I'm bored streaming right now. What else other nonsense can we get into? How about that? And if you bring up school shootings, I'm gonna
headaches, maybe even ringing in your ears, all because you're grinding and clenching your teeth at night. That's exactly what was going on with me. I end up going to a dentist, and he wants to charge over $600 for.
Y'all don't need to do this. I don't know what the hell's going on there. All right, so what else can we get into? What's everybody getting into? How about that? When I'm live, it's free chat. I just go live just to catch up with you guys at this point. And you know what? Let's start showing you guys what I'm working on. I'm trying to get into my recordings. And for some reason, no, I don't want video file. I want this 2%. Where is it? Would it be this? Yep, there we go. Okay, so now you guys can see here, right? Yeah. So this is what I'm looking at. I'm trying to get my freaking music recorded. And I'm having a lot of issues with different sites and apps. And this is the second video now that I'm looking at. I've tried everything since I can't even go through them all, but I never really put forth the effort, and that's the God's honest truth. I always got caught up doing other stuff, and now I have plenty of time for the effort. And I can't find the right app to do it at. So, that's another thing right there. What Racetology just mentioned. At least Hunter had the balls to plead guilty. Yeah, he also kept himself from incriminating his father at the same time. So it wasn't just balls; it was family smarts. Shit was showing that he's learning because he wasn't smart at all in what he did. Um, I don't know what happened with Tim Pool, and that's to me just drama and nonsense, whatever it would be. Um, pardon in January. Well, he can't catch the pardon if, um, well, someone wins. Look, I want to stay as neutral as possible, but the truth is, I'm more than likely voting for Trump. And yes, guys, I did go and register. Um, my views of this world are more aligned with his. So what if he's a felon? I'm a felon. Um, I don't care about your fucking feelings when it comes to where this country is going. And it, between the two presidents, the potential nominees, I like the country better when it was under Trump. It's just the truth. Hate me if you want. Um, so I'm not going to put that up on my screen, but all right now, thank you for that. That was a good laugh. So yeah, I mean, I was hoping Trump was going to um, get into a little bit of detail about the actual campaign, not just the trial. But I didn't do my research into what the conference was going to be about. I was just sitting around watching the news and like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go live. I'm bored. So yeah, the Boredom Live. I'm going to change my name to that, or the stream name to that. Boredom Live. Let's go. Edit. Okay, for some reason, spell check's coming back on Boredom. That was a complete mistake. um, Well, Landon, right? I don't know. Are you referring to Trump or Biden when you said it seems like he's trying to lose? Yeah, I mean that he was the only him I can think of, and I mean I'm pretty caught up, but I'm at the same time I'm nowhere near caught up as most people would be. So yeah, this is literally, I'm not lying when I said this is just a boredom live, and you guys are here for it. So we're going to. I want to get back onto that. Um, Video. And actually, I wasn't liking that video. That was more like higher tech. I already got everything I need. Um, Does anybody know a good music recording app that's simple? To my 12 viewers, or put it in the comments. That I gotta take that. Mic is getting muted.
Ones that were funding the research in Wuhan, China.
His family and the Trump organization that we stand in right now. You must vote Donald Trump back in because as an attorney, as a woman, as a mother, our future of this country depends on it. And we need to stop this from happening. The DOJ is supposed to help our country and protect us, not attack us because you cannot win in the polls. Thank you.
Thank you very much, both. And just in finishing this, we have numerous other trials that are also very much in coordination with the DOJ. They actually took just about their top person and they put them into the offices of the Attorney General of New York. And then also the office of the DA Bragg's office, to make sure the case is brought viciously against their political opponent. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Businesses will not come to New York because of it. They actually, in the case of Engoron, they used a consumer frauds case, never used before for a thing like this. And not only were my numbers correct, and again, this was a generality. All you need is a general, but I had really good numbers, but they were very conservative, very much on the low side. And the judge knew that. And the judge ruled a fine against me, the likes of which has never even been heard of. Businesses will never come to this state as long as that is able to be held up, because we won that trial so conclusively. We had an expert witness said that President Trump's financial, this was an expert witness from the Stern School of Business, one of the most highly respected people in the country, as an expert witness. He said, to the best of my remembering, it's a big statement, but he said, this is perhaps the best financial statement I've ever seen. But the judge made me pay like a $400 million fine. This is a consumer fraud statement. Think of it, consumer frauds case